What's up, Pirates? Wraith and Jim here, back with another video for you guys. Today, we're going to be going over the black color for the OP06 cards. We're going to see what's good and what's not. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Yep, so we already covered Perona in one of our original videos with green. Obviously, we know this is a great card. The effect is on screen if you did not get that one. And first up here, we've got Gecko Moria SR gang finally added to the game. Looking great for this standard leader card, and the alt art looks a lot better, which we'll go over in another video. But he is going to be a black character with 5 life, 5,000 power, and kind of a reverse blue Doflamingo effect, if you guys know what that does. It is going to be a Dawn X1. When attacking, you can tap 2 and trash 1 card from your hand. And then after that, you're going to trash 2 cards from the top of your deck, and then you can play 1 4 or less character with the Thriller Bark type from your trash onto the board. And not rested, it is active. So a very strong effect that is going to have a lot of uses, especially in a deck that is intentionally putting cards in their trash. You'll basically be able to have like this massive trash pile that you can kind of just, let me go through this pile of 20 cards and found the card I want and play it out. This is going to be a super consistent archetype and a super strong archetype, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like a pseudo mono blue Dofi effect, right? So it's kind of like you're getting an infinite source of resource, right? So you're not playing these from your hand, you're playing them from the trash.
Yep, 100%. And obviously, I mean, when your opponent kills these characters, they go right back to the trash as long as they don't bottom deck them. So this is an infinite effect that can just consistently get value. And if it isn't in the trash, the leader effect instantly trashes it from your hand if you have it in your hand. You could put it in the trash and then play it. So it's basically like you played the card if you're doing that, because you're putting it in the trash and then playing it out on the board. It's basically just saying it's playing it for a lesser cost. But let's go into our first character. Going to be that perfect 4-drop stat line for Moria. A 4 cost, 5,000 power, and 1,000 counter. It's going to be Absalom of the Thriller Bark Pirates. And on play, you can return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 2 or less. So, kind of just like a mini Kaku of the CP archetype, if you guys know what that does. That one KOs a 3. And also puts 2 cards back to the bottom of the deck. This one is going to do the same thing, and obviously we're in black, so we can lower cost, and that 2 is going to hit basically anything we want it to.
Yeah, this card is really good. Obviously, you're running it in black, and black has a lot of cost minus effects, so definitely a good card to run. I think you could definitely see this in play for sure in some newer black decks.
This is going to be one of your favorite cards to pull out of trash for sure. Next up, we've got Inuppe. It is Sanji when he got turned into the ugliest zombie of all time. It is going to be a 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter with the Thriller Bark Pirates. And it's going to be on play and on KO. If your leader has Thriller Bark Pirates type, you can draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. So a 2-card cycle on play and on KO. For an archetype that's going to need to build the trash, I think this card is going to be 100% necessary, especially because you'll see a lot of these card effects are going to rely on you having these 2-cost characters.
Yeah, like you said, this archetype is going to require you to have things in trash. I feel like playing this on curve on your very first turn for 2 Dawn, getting to cycle right away, getting to put something in trash that you know you're about to play next turn just to set it up already is pretty insane. And then on top of that, you got to cycle again when it dies. So that's 4 cards cycled out of your hand for 2 Dawn. Amazing card, I think.
Yep, and you may say like, okay, they just won't attack it and won't KO it because, you know, it's only 3k body. They don't have to worry about it. As you're going to see, this archetype has a ton of ways to KO your own characters and activate this at will. So this is going to be a staple in my opinion. Next up, we've got Oars. Oars is the first card in the game to have a bigger stat line than a vanilla. So obviously your 4-cost vanillas are going to be 4/6s. Ours is a 4/7, breaking through that cage, as you can see in his art there. And he's going to be a Thriller Bark type character with 4 costs, so playable off Moria, And he's going to read, this character cannot attack, which is obviously terrible. But then you look at his next ability, which is Activate Main. You can KO one character with the characteristic of Thriller Bark Pirates, and then this character's effects will be nullified until the end of your turn. So basically, you can get rid of something like the one we just covered, Inuppe, KO it, do the trash you draw to, and now we have a 4-cost 7k that can swing all at once during this turn. I think this is a great card. I don't know if this is going to be a 4 of, maybe like a 3 to 2 of, but I think you're totally running this.
Yeah, no, I think this card is going to be actually pretty insane. So it does have that pressure always while it's on board. And it's kind of one of those things where your opponent might not want to kill it, or might not want to swing at it, or might not want to devote resources to getting rid of it, because obviously it can't attack. But on those turns where you play something and you turn it online, it can definitely do some damage. So this card right here is definitely going to be a sleeper. Yeah, but like you said, maybe not a 4 of, but definitely 2 of at least.
And yeah, gonna be very scary. Like, imagine you go first and then you use Moria effect and you just get a 7k out on your 3 dawn turn. That is ridiculous. But next up, we got Gigoro of the Wind. Is another 2-cost Thriller Bark Pirates type character. This one is gonna have 3,000 power and 1,000 counter. And this one is just gonna say on KO, you can give your leader or up to one of your characters 1,000 power during the turn. So, again, if this gets KO'd on your opponent's turn, you can turn your leader into a 6k on defense, which is already really strong. But on your turn, that you can KO this card with stuff like Oars once again, make your leader 6k, just because it can be. Another card that I think is really good, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't end up playing it.
Yeah, this card... depending on how many 2-drops there are, because obviously, like you said, you have to KO a lot of them for a lot of these cards to work. Depending on the variety, like you might have to run some of these, but if there is a better alternative, yeah, definitely go with the alternative, because just 1,000 power is not as great as something like we just saw there, where you literally cycle 2 cards out of your hand and put cards online where you're going to play from trash and get rid of cards you don't need, right? And so it's okay. I think it's an okay card. We're gonna have to see if it would be ran. I'm not too certain on it yet.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds great on your defending turn, but that is only assuming that you can KO it yourself when you want to. Spoilers, there is a card that can do so, so that might be a crazy combo. Next up, we've got Kumasi. Kumasi is another 2-cost. This one 3,000 power and 1,000 counter, and is going to read Dawn X2, so swinging for that 5k stat line. During your turn, for every 5 cards in your trash, this character is going to get 1,000 power. This card can get very scary. As we were saying, you can kind of play with like 20 cards in trash with all these trash effects. And let's just pretend you do have 20 cards in your trash and you attach 2. During your turn, this card is just going to get plus 4k. So attach 2, you have a 2-cost 9k. Which sounds kind of scary, but I think it's way too situational. I think, again, you're not always going to have that many cards in your trash. Like, early game, this card just sucks. It's a 2-3 that doesn't do anything, but...
yeah. Late game, though,
yeah.
There's always those situations where if you run a 1-of card and you see it at the right time, it just does its thing. And so I think this is one of those cards where it's like, okay, now you have a 9,000 power swing off of 2k body for 2 Dawn, and maybe you have that 4-drop, instantly KO it once you're done swinging with it. Now you have another 7k swing, right? It's just like the possibility is there, and so that's why the card is scary.
Totally looks fun. No, nobody's gonna doubt that. Next up, we've got probably the strongest card in the archetype. Now, it is a SR, going to be Gecko Moria himself. A 8-cost and 9k, beautiful stat line with no counter, and Thriller Bark Pirates, and 7 Warlords of the Sea. Going to be on play, you can grab up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less, and 1 character with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. You can make 1 appear, and then play the other one rested. So you can do this in any order. So say like you had a 2-cost that like minus the cost on play, you can play the 2 first rested, and then you can play the other one as active afterwards. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can choose the order and choose which one you want standing and which one you want rested. just a fantastic card that's going to flood board and allow for some amazing combos.
Yeah, this thing looks pretty scary. I've definitely been seeing some tweets going around about how this card right here is going to be able to keep your leader at 6,000, 7,000 power every single turn with certain combos. But yeah, this card looks scary. The art is amazing, and the altar is even better, which we are going to go over in a different video. But yeah, this card right here is one of the better SRs. Honestly, the most of the SRs from the OP06 set are really good, right? So we're starting to get into these later sets, right? We're already on our 6th set. We're a year into this amazing game, and this card right here is we're gonna see a lot of it, I think, in OP06.
And next up, we've got Cerebus. Is a 2-cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter blocker. Just your standard 2/2 blocker with the Thriller Bark archetype. It is a 2-drop to note, so you can KO this if you want, but why are we playing a blocker if you just want to KO it? I don't think you're running this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple blocker.
Yep.
Not much to say.
Next up, we've got Sai. Sai is a 3-cost, 4,000 power with 1,000 counter. And he is going to be the Dressrosa archetype, so a little bit more support for that. He's just going to read, if your leader has Dressrosa and your leader is active, this character has 2,000 power. So Rebecca will usually be active unless you rest it with like Leo or something like that. But assuming you did not do that, this is just a 3/6 with 1,000 counter. So solid. But I think Rebecca's a little bit more focused on the combos with minus and KO effects, so I don't even know if you run this, even though it's strong.
Yeah, and then, I mean, for the most part, Kyros gets you a KO. This card here will just get KO'd, and so probably won't run it. I don't like that it's a leader locked, but obviously, for some reason, Rebecca and Dressrosa, all the cards are leader locked. Yeah, I mean, it's a quick card.
Yeah, 3/6.
Standalone, it's okay. Standalone, it's okay.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Tadan. Is a 2-cost, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter. Another 2 costs for the Thriller Bark Pirates archetype. Once again, this one going to be on play and KO. Put the top 3 cards of your deck into the trash. So literally just a trash builder. This isn't like cycling or anything. It just builds your trash at a pretty high rate. Probably going to need at least a couple of these, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm definitely already seeing that this is a card that you're going to have to be able to, dish out here and there to build your trash, because not only are you taking cards out of your trash when you're playing with leader effect on Moria, you're also doing that for other effects where you have to put cards back, like that 1 KO effect. You got to put cards back, and so you definitely have to keep the consistent put stuff into your trash, and so I can definitely see this being ran. So like I'd rather run this over the plus 1,000 power 1 KO, right? So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, so and this gets you 6 cards in trash off 2 Dawn, which is amazing.
Yep, gross. Have Oars on board, and this gets you instantly 6. Very, very strong. Next up, we've got Dr. Hogback. Finally, another 4 cost that Moria can play off his leader effect. Going to be a 4/5 with 1,000 counter and the Thriller Bark archetype. And on play, you can return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then up to one of your... You can play up to one... Wait. Up to 1 card... oh, okay. And then you can add 1 card that's not Dr. Hogback with the Thriller Bark Pirates archetype from your trash to your hand. So this card is going to draw you from your trash. Seems pretty good. I don't love how it puts 2 at the bottom because you kind of want a big trash with this deck, I'm assuming, but I don't think... I mean, it's definitely good. Like, you can grab any card you need and then play it out that turn. So just another 4 cost you're probably going to need if you're running Moria.
Yeah, 100%. Just one of those cards where it's like give you more options to be able to play different 4-drops with Moria. It's a solid card for sure.
Yep, I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it. Next up, we've got Victoria Cindry. Is a 1 cost, 2,000 power with 2,000 counter. So here is our 2,000 counter Thriller Bark Pirate searchable. And it is going to be on play. If your leader has the Thriller Bark Pirates type, you can put the top 5 of your deck into your trash. So a 2K that does exactly what your archetype is trying to do. If you don't have anything else, they can do it. If you weren't already running this because it was searchable, yeah, you're totally running it now. They can actually build your trash at a pretty fast rate.
Yeah, 100%. You're definitely gonna want to search, right away with this. get a ton of stuff into your trash. I like the search. I like the searcher. I'm glad they definitely tuned it towards Moria's archetype and like how the deck works. I love it.
Yeah, it's not a searcher. It literally just puts the top 5 into the trash.
Oh, it literally just puts the top 5 into the trash.
Yeah.
Oh, that's still really good. That's still really good though. Regardless.
That's a 2K though, yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Solid.
I thought it searched. Okay, no, yeah, no, that's all. That's all. That's even better. That's even better.
Mm-hmm.
Not even better, but
yeah.
I
wish if it got that searcher, this archetype might go over the edge. But next up here, we've got Brooke. Another very interesting card. This one going to be a 6 cost, 6,000 power with no counter. And on play, you can choose one of 2 effects. Options are always good. This one's going to be send one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 4 or less to the trash. So this is not a KO effect. This just sends them to the trash. If they can't be KO'd, this card doesn't care about it. Or your opponent puts 3 cards from their trash to the bottom of their deck in any order. So if you're playing against Nami, you can just say screw you.
Yeah, it's playing against Nami. I mean, even in certain situations against other decks like Rebecca, could potentially put them out of certain ranges.
Sure.
And then obviously when you're not playing those decks, just KO a 4 or less, send it to the trash. Seems pretty good. I like this card a lot.
Speaking of, this honestly isn't even bad against Sakazuki. I mean, it's obviously for 6, it's pretty expensive, but say you don't want them to do like Lucci and they only have like 4 cards in trash, you can kind of screw them over with that. But a little too expensive for that. Cut that one out. Next up, we've got Perona. Is another 4 cost 5K. This one though, gonna have 2,000 counter. And once we look at the effect, you would have never guessed that it had that. Gonna be a Thriller Bark Pirates type once again, and on play, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, you can choose one of 2 effects. 1, your opponent discards 1 from hand. So if they have 5 or more, boom, you're gonna put them down to 4. Already insanely strong. However, the next effect is up to one of your opponent's characters is going to get -3 to their cost during the turn. So, what doesn't this card do? My God.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where it's like the yellow Sanji 4/5 trigger 1K blocker. It just kind of has like a little bit of everything, and so it's so flexible that you're always gonna run 4 of in a deck, right?
Mm-hmm. Like
I love this card.
yeah. Imagine, right, just this random scenario. Okay, you play this card out, right? You already have Oars on board. They're at 5 cards in hand, or they're at 6 cards in hand. You put them down to 5 with this card's on play effect. Use Oars effect, KO Perona, and then swing with Oars for 7, great. And then use Moria effect, bring Perona back out. Boom, they're at 5 cards. Now they're back. Now they're at 4. You trash 2 cards from their hand. And brought out a 5K, swung 7. Yeah, this card is going to do everything this archetype needs. It's going to be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, 100%.
And next up, we've got Lola. Lola is a 4 cost, 6,000 power vanilla, which you may think is not good, but no, this is the perfect 4 cost stat line. Moria can just bring out a 6K on its 3-dawn turn. That is going to be strong. I could totally see you running a few of these.
Yeah, I mean, great vanilla. Obviously, you don't always want to play cards with effects, especially if the board is empty and you want a leader effect, and then you can just bring out a vanilla instead, get that higher stat line, regardless of what your opponent does the following turn. Is still just a very great option to have.
Yep, like if we go back to the Dofi example, if you've ever played against Blue Dofi, they do play that 4/6 Moria vanilla because it is insanely good just to play out early. Just that big body is so impactful. Next up, we've got a very interesting event that I'm looking forward to trying. This is going to be a Thriller Bark and 7 Warlords of the Sea type event. Going to be 2 cost, main, and counter event. It's just going to read, your leader gets 1,000 power during this turn. So that is for the turn, right? So your leader is now going to be a 6K for the turn. And then after that, you can KO up to any number of your Thriller Bark Pirates type characters that cost 2 or less. So this is going back to those ton of 2 cost Thriller Bark we saw. You can KO those guys, and for each one that you KO'd, your leader is going to get 1,000 more power for that turn. So for instance, I'm just going to show you guys a random example. This card right here that we saw earlier, when KO'd, give one of your leaders 1,000 power during this turn. So let's just say they swing 5. You're going to go, okay, Gathering Place of Shadows. I'm now a 6 for the turn, which is already good. And now I'm going to KO this guy. On KO, he's going to give me 1,000 power for the turn. Now I'm a 7k on defense. And then since I KO'd him, I'm going to get 1,000 more power for the turn. So now for 2 Dawn, I'm an 8k for the entire turn. That sounds insanely strong.
Disgusting. Yeah, definitely a very, very great defensive tool that plays around your deck so well. And then on top of that, they gave it a trigger, draw 2, discard 1. So cycle 2 cards, you know, from drawing 2, and then you get to trash 1 that you don't need. An amazing card. I could definitely see this being ran of a 4 of, a 3 of in a deck where honestly doesn't have the best defensive cards. So this definitely helps it in that aspect.
Oh yeah, gonna count towards counter for their successive attacks after you use this card. A lot of decks only do run like the 1 counter card in black, like they'll run the 1 of Impact Wave. This one gonna be that for this deck, and probably a lot better than that. Next up, we've got Nothing Happened. Unfortunately, made it as a common card and an event at that, but it is fine. We will take what we can get. But it is going to be a 3-cost counter event with the Straw Hat Pirates archetype, and it is going to read counter. You can add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand, so you need to kind of kill yourself with this card. And then all of your characters with a cost of 7 or less cannot be KO'd in battle during this turn. So obviously, if they're swinging at your board for like a big number, you can just use this card, take a life, and now your entire board can't be KO'd by battle. So this is like technically has infinite counter in that aspect. But here's the thing. If they're going for game, this card's completely useless. In fact, if they're going for game, this actually hurts you because you're taking 1 your life. Also, the top deck in the format doesn't KO by battle. That deck KOs by anything but battle. So I don't think you're ever running this card.
Yeah. It can be situational. I see some situations in my head right now where it could be slightly useful. I mean, there's you have to first note that the Gecko Moria archetype and the deck that's going to be ran, you're going to be playing a lot of cards out of your trash, and so your opponent is definitely going to want to start swinging at those bodies. So a lot of the times you're going to stay at a very healthy amount of life, and this is the same problem that Mono Blue Dofi had, where you're just constantly putting cards onto the board that aren't from your hand or life. And so then now you're stuck protecting them. And then by the end of the game, you're at 5 life, 2 in hand with like maybe a small board or a big board if the game's going well for you. So maybe that will have the same like this deck will play the same style. And I could see a card like this being used to not only protect your units, but draw from your life as well. But like you said, the activating it from trigger still feels pretty bad because they're going at your life, not at your units.
Yeah.
But very situational. I probably don't run it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. See, the thing with Blue Doflamingo is off of his effect, the characters are played rested. So the turn after you do that, they get to swing into it. Moria plays them active, so they're swinging your leader. So it is going to be similar to Doflamingo, but not exactly the same. You'll probably run into a lot larger hands than Doflamingo has. But next up, we've got Negative Hollow, a 2-cost main event, Thriller Bark Pirates type, and is going to be main, discard 1 card from your opponent's hand. So just going to make your opponent discard a card for 2. Seems interesting and seems honestly really annoying, but I don't know if it's any good.
I mean, there is a situation where you run your opponent's card down to 0 and then you just win the game, right? Let's say you're running E-shows, you're running you can run this event, you can run the Peronas. Like
Sure.
there's a world where a certain deck that mills your opponent's hand is actually very good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I personally like this card. I feel like it can definitely see some play.
It's going to be annoying. And do not forget, this is at random. This is just discard 1 card. You get to choose. You get to pick it. So they don't get to pick like their best card they want to discard. This is completely random. So that is totally going to screw them over.
right? So like let's say you have all 4 in your hand and you go
Yeah.
boom 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 and your opponent has 4 in hand. They have 1, you have 1, but that's fine. Why? Because you're Gecko Moria. You're gonna swing at them. You're still gonna establish a body on the board. I don't know. I like it. I like this a lot.
It's definitely funny, but we will see. Next up and last up, we've got Thriller Bark itself made it as a stage. And this stage is going to read, activate main. You can tap 1 and rest the stage. If your leader has Thriller Bark Pirates, you can grab 1 cost 2 or less character with Thriller Bark Pirates from your trash and play it onto the board.
Yep. Pay 1, rest the stage, and you spawn a 2 or less from trash rested, which is very good.
Yeah, I mean, for
1 Dawn every turn.
And from the trash, this is not from your hand. From the trash is basically like really, it's not free, but it's really good. It's because, you know, you're not losing hand advantage. And you're playing these 2 costs that have like these trash the deck effects, whatever. And playing them for 1 and choosing the exact one you need seems really good, especially if you're going to be running a ton of these 2-cost cards that are going to be impacting your game plan a lot.
Yeah, I like this event a lot. I'm definitely, if I were to make this deck, I would lean in towards putting a lot of these into the deck.
I wish it had Trigger play this card, but maybe that would be a bit too strong. Because repeating this every turn is going to be kind of gross.
All right, Pirates, thank you guys so much for staying until the end of this video. We just went over all of the black cards, and all that is left now is the yellow cards. And so I'm super excited to go over those in the next video. But thank you guys again for all the support. We're so close to 2,000 subs. If you guys could go ahead and stop what you're doing right now and go hit that subscribe button, it would mean so much to us. But with that being said, thank you guys again. Like this video, comment down below, subscribe to our channel one more time, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.